Greetings friends. In this new video, we will recap some past ideas, as well as other shocking truths, around our essence as human beings. About the great secrets that are in plain sight, but that we ignore, due to modern indoctrination. People do not know about alchemy, and about the processes that make up the magnificence of this world. Remember that they do not tell us anything about our ancient reality. All the impressive and impossible monuments realized. Geoalchemy, and all those energetic bonds and transformations of the world elemental matter, and from which all living organisms endowed with anima come off. We are all a complementary part to this great system on which we live. Let's start. In previous videos, we already saw how all the rock in this world was once wood. We saw how the alchemical processes of heat and pressure that occur in the lower kingdom give rise to the extrusion and contraction movements of matter, leading to the creation of rock and its readjustment and accommodation. Referring to the conception of this world as a living being of colossal proportions. We saw silicon, and how silicon-based RAM memories can save memories and information. Vivid moments of the reality. Just like a camera, capturing a piece of time of the world we live in. Information that flows through the light. Considering how photographs are also alchemy. A portion of a timeline. So how a photograph function? Or a video, which is composed of many photographs? Well, let's see how the first photograph was taken. The daguerreotype. A process from which an image is obtained. An image burned through light on a copper plate, covered with silver iodide. That is, information of this world flowing through light, captured by purifications of the natural materials and substances. Elements. So, that information is running all the time, everywhere. Like a timeline. A lifeline. That is what a video is. The successive captions of that information. This is the first video. The zoetrope is a strobe machine created in 1834 by William George Horner, composed of a circular drum with cuts, through which the viewer look at some drawings, arranged in strips inside, so that, when rotating, give the illusion of movement. However, one of the firsts was Cesare Cesariano, a student of Leonardo da Vinci during the Renaissance. Later, Athanasius Kircher, an alchemist, who in 1640 invented what he called magic lantern, with which the light was projected through different engravings on crystals located in mechanical grooves, projecting a sequence of images. Same alchemic principle. Do you see it? However, don't even realize the overwhelming truth behind it. The truth that all technology have its alchemical correspondency with natural creation, with the way this reality function. the tremendous hidden secrets behind the photography. And obviously, with the video, and the succession of images of the human eye, which has the same alchemical correspondence with reality. With the way our eyes work. Retaining light long enough to generate persistence. In other words, both a camera and our eyes work under the same physical principles of alchemical correspondence. Physical principles that are repeated in the world. We must wake up to all these lies that hide from us. Lies that, knowing them, makes us revalue everything that this world is. Its absolute correspondence with the alchemical laws. We also saw the tremendous similarities between our skin and the layers of the earth. The red and hot liquids that solidify when they come out, as protection, and that carry nutrients and energy throughout the system. This knowledge is so inherent, and at the same time so complex, that it is extremely difficult to understand. Many coincidences in nature, and in this world, that would overwhelm us to the point of going crazy. Most channels only share the most horrendous, without realizing that the real solution is in us. On seeing and teaching the magnificence of this world in its processes. Processes that have been created for us and for all life. We must look at everything with the eyes of an explorer. Assuming that the only thing we have to compare and analyze is our own body and senses. Humans, through the pass of time and history, have created a whole cosmogony to try to explain all that exists around us. Words and supposed facts that are repeated through history and that we now classify as laws. However, we can never forget that all these laws change, or should be changing. Been reformed as new discoveries emerge. But in real, the majority of these laws never change. Cause discrepancies were never made known, and because it is not convenient in economic terms, and crowd control. I'm referring to the conception of this world as a dimensional plane. The flat earth theory. If you are in this channel, you must have seen all about the flat earth. Cause we are now entering on high advanced mind ground. First, the term planet, plan, F, refers to an etheric plane. To a world made up of various layers. Layers of different densities. Stacked as dimensional planes. As higher as you go, you will find lower densities. No one can absolutely explain why this world is like this. Why exists at above, and why things have a weight, according to their density and mass. Remember that gravity is nothing but a falling acceleration. Everything that involves giant balls of rock that floats and spins on a vacuum are only theoretical and impossible speculations. Jesuit conspiracy about the scales and distances of the movement of Venus. Maximilian Hell and the establishment of the parameters that they still use today. All those are not logical, according to the laws visibly appreciable by our senses. Not by Jesuit hidden dictatorship. Since it's not possible that gravity has such a strong force as necessary to keep a monstrous ball of rock floating in a vacuum and supposedly rotating at 1,668 kilometers per hour. and at 15,000 around the Sun, containing and sticking in place all the oceans, while moving along with the entire galaxy, but, at the same time, being such a weak force that allow us to walk or jump and not feeling any movement. Not even the clouds are displaced by this speed, nor the smoke of the volcanoes, being that, in a train, we see how the smoke is displaced. That only with a speed of 80 kilometers or less. And that's just the tip. There are many proofs, such as the Nile River and its movement. Much evidence that exists, even without considering conspiracy theories. Now, knowing that money is false, and that it is a fiat currency, and how this whole system is plunged into an educational and spiritual chaos, in which we are all educated as consumer slaves for the pleasure and transcendence of a few abominable beings, can maybe understand the magnitude of the lie in which we live. Only now that the world is opening to ancient truths, are we being able to glimpse the true charm of the magical processes that existed in the forbidden antiquity. One of the ignorance, or lack of information on the part of those who defend the globe earth theory, is to affirm that they can refute the flat earth argument of curving the water. For this, they show crude examples of drops, or falling water, bending due to the static electricity of a balloon. They also show water coming out of a hose. Such proofs are invalid for two reasons. 1. The water is not at rest, as in lakes or oceans. That is to say, that it curves just in the air because it's falling. When reach a surface, water will take the shape of the container that support it from the bottom, in this case, the sink, and it will appear flat from the top whenever it's at rest. 2. A drop is a minimum expression of the water element, having a property now called surface tension, acting on its top edges. But in fact, this is not a property of the water, but of the outside, which presses it. Something which is nothing but the ether itself, crowding around its support, compressing it. All substances were sought to unite, or crowd around their equal since the beginning. That's why, when we hit something, its molecules don't shoot out in all directions. Matter tends to hold tightly together for all the duration of its individual cycle, then seeking to rejoin again, this time with their support plane. This is an alchemical law that exists for all matter in this world. Hidden and true ancient teachings that corresponds with modern facts. Let's remember the heterogeneous substances. This is not a tibious thing. This is an alchemical correspondence between the world and their function. The realms, and how they are grouped by their etheric densities. Bubbles are an example of the result of trapping one density in another for a short time. I repeat, bubbles are the result of trapping one density matter in another density matter for a short time. This captured density being lighter than the other, and for this, it will want to reintegrate into their equal. Going up. Pressed in all directions by the fluid, forming the spherical shape of a bubble just until reaches the surface. Forming then a flat surface with a dome. Then, when the densest liquid substance that imprisons the other succumbs to its own need of return with their equal, the bubble upper surface becomes weaker and thinner, which causes it to break from the top. Liquid goes down, while air goes up. Do you see it? All withdrawn and contracted alchemical energy seeks to return to the whole. That's why death does not exist. But let's not deviate. So, what do we meant in this channel when we say that water cannot bend? Answer: to the universal alchemical principle, from where all the etheric planes of this material dimension are composed. That is, the layers. See how every kingdom or stratum is made up of that layers. Layers of the skin, layers of the atmosphere, layers of rock and even oceanic salinity and density, pressure, heat, and more. Layers of light and matter. These kingdoms, or states, are dimensionally grouped in planes, as if they were heterogeneous substances. Substances with different density compositions. All matter is made up of ether, which has properties, and one of them is density, which is scientifically defined as the relationship between the mass and the volume of anything or being. So, what has a higher density goes at the bottom, and what has a lower density is lighter and is at the top, as well as rocks and their different types. Thus, all the other elements, grouped into kingdoms, work in the same way. Let's check it out. This whole world is made up of density layers. Layers with different information and composition. Everything is alchemy in the reality. The sciences has been separated and cruelly extracted from the true unique sacred science, so that we believe that everything is separate and isolated between them, when it is not. Like geology, science that doesn't really exist. Yes, as you hear it. Geology, as a specific science, does not exist. Cause geology is biology. It always has been. All those separated sciences seek to make people experts only on a specific subject, isolating them from the supreme truths and the complete understanding of sciences as a whole. The truth is that everything is connected, composed of a fine mesh, imperceptible to those who have no notion of it. A mesh that permeates and holds this physical world together, making things solid and material. The ether, composing the material realm of this physical world. Something like the Higgs boson, present in the dark matter. Let's remember how they always tell us half-truths. How they don't want us to know our greatness, or the glorious past of which we were a part. Let us understand that existed a world of incredible magic and knowledge. A world very different from this one in terms of respect and communion. So much proofs that our ancestral truth has been hidden and perverted, destroying nature and the mystical connection we have with all creatures. The average human being only feels a connection to money and consumerism. He only finds his joy through materialism and the stark struggle to tear others apart in this eternal rat race for mere paper. It sounds very harsh, but it's the entire reality that they have created for us. Very few are those who manage to see the inherent destitution in everything fundamentally instilled. It is time to change and start being serious about the truth. Most people are afraid to probe beyond what they were told as true. They prefer to conform rather than criticize or analyze. Ancient legends and rocks go beyond any truth written on paper. Let's wake the children up before it's too late. Let us act before society perverts them in a world of rampant banality. We will all be part of the change. Share these ancient truths with everyone. Let's open our eyes and souls to the future. We speak the truth, and we will be heard. You just have to wake up from the great deception. The system does not work. Time to get out. Reactive Factory Project.